The medbay of Outpost Theta smelled of antiseptic and scorched metal. Human Sergeant Daniel Cole sat on the edge of a cot, his leg bound in a crude brace, shrapnel still embedded in his thigh. The pain was sharp, but what cut deeper was the laughter echoing from across the room. 3 Zethari soldiers, tall, scaled, and smug, were leaning against the wall, watching him with predatory grins. "Is this the human warrior we've heard so much about?" One hissed in the guttural Zethari tongue. "They fall apart when scratched." Another chuckled. "We've seen hatchlings take worse wounds and keep fighting. Deathworlders? More like pre-worlders." Cole said nothing. He just tightened the strap on his brace and tested his weight on the leg. It hurt like hell, but he could stand. That was all that mattered. The Zethari weren't allies. They were part of the so-called Unified Expeditionary Force, sent by the Galactic Council to stabilize the Dargun sector. In reality, it was a mess of competing species, each trying to prove they were the toughest. The Zethari considered themselves the best fighters in the galaxy. Humans were newcomers, and an injured one was fair game for mockery. They didn't know Cole had been a Green Beret before he'd ever set foot on another planet. The outpost's alarm klaxon cut through the medbay. An urgent voice shouted over the intercom, "Breach in Sector 7. Enemy boarding party inbound." The Zethari soldiers smirked. "Stay here, human," one said. "Leave the real fighting to us." They grabbed their weapons and headed for the corridor. Cole followed, limping, wrenching a combat knife from the medbay wall rack as he went. The fighting had already begun by the time they reached Sector 7. The enemy, hulking, armored raiders from the Karg Hive, had cut through the blast doors and were pouring into the outpost. The Zethari charged with impressive speed, their rifles spitting plasma. Cole didn't run in. He watched, noting positions the way the Karg moved, where their armor was weakest. The Zethari's first rush went well, until the Karg adapted. They dropped smoke, advanced in tight shield walls, and started cutting the lizards down. Within 2 minutes, 2 of the 3 Zethari were on the floor, bleeding out. The last one shouted for reinforcements, but comms were jammed. That's when Cole moved. He didn't waste time firing blindly. He slipped into the smoke, silent as a shadow, knife low and ready. The first Karg never saw him. Cole slid the blade between armor plates at the back of the knee, then drove it up under the jaw as the alien collapsed. He took the fallen Karg's rifle without breaking stride. In the haze, he became a ghost. One shot here, one stab there, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. The Karg formation began to crumble, unsure where the attacks were coming from. Cole used the Zethari's fallen bodies as bait, drawing the enemy in, then hitting them from behind. He moved with the ruthless efficiency of a man who had trained for decades in the art of killing without being killed. By the time the smoke cleared, the floor was littered with Karg corpses. Cole stood in the center, breathing hard, blood, none of it his own, dripping from the knife in his hand. The last surviving Zethari stared at him in stunned silence. "You?" the alien said slowly. "You took them all." Cole glanced at the wounded Zethari, then at the pile of dead Karg. "No," he said, wiping his blade clean on his sleeve. "We took them all. I just don't quit because of a limp." The medbay was silent when they returned. The 2 surviving Zethari from earlier didn't laugh this time. They avoided Cole's eyes. Later, when the battle report reached the Galactic Council, the official count noted that the boarding party, 12 Karg Hive warriors, had been wiped out by combined defensive action. But among the soldiers who'd been there, the story was told differently. The wounded human didn't just fight. He turned the tide. And the Zethari never laughed at a Green Beret again. "Do you want me to also make you a short cinematic image prompt for this scene so it matches your HFY covers?"